OKC and Indiana have both trusted the process. Joel Embiid was the one that made this phrase popular for the Philadelphia 76ers. The whole Embiid, Ben Simmons, who they had, Jimmy Buckets, JJ Redick, that whole little era thing. Trust the process. And now OKC and Indiana, they are reaping the harvest of that because they clearly trusted the process. Trades, picks, team building, player development, building up a culture, and both of those, I would love to go to those arenas. Come on in here, let's talk about it. What it do, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. While you in here, hit that like, comment, subscribe, notification bell so you can be notified every time Her Takes uploads a new video. All right, let's get it. Yes, sir. OKC, with the roster that they have created, they have constructed one of the best rosters that I've seen on paper. 68 wins, MVP on their squad, made it to the NBA Finals, about to play in a Game 7 at home. So far, they're winning. All they got to do is win one more game to get this chip. And they did it ever so sweet. Paul George, I don't know. How do you feel to be a Paul George in this situation? Because he's the reason he sparked both of these teams into existence today. When he wanted out of Indiana, they traded him to OKC. Indiana got, good trade pieces that they'll be able to trade. And he went to OKC. Kawhi Leonard didn't want to stay in Toronto. So when he went to the Clippers, called himself trying to undermine both of them. And, I'm going to get on, defend my boy Bron. Both of them, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, decided they want to undermine Bron and go to the basement team in Los Angeles, team up together when Bron had actually, potentially, allegedly, targeted both of them. And they decided they were going to keep them on hold. Kawhi did the Lakers so bad. This ain't even what the video about, but it got me started. Give me a minute. Kawhi even had the Lakers on hold. So they, free agents just going. Top free agents just getting off the board. Why? Because they was waiting on Kawhi. What did Kawhi want? He wanted Paul George from OKC. And guess what? They made the trade. They traded Shai Gilgeous, Mr. MVP, Mr. about to be in the Game 7 of the Finals. They traded him to OKC along with some picks and all of that. Some other little trade pieces. And hey, what did the Clippers get? Playoff P? All right, anyway. These teams have done the work. And you got to appreciate what we're seeing in these finals. Because it's exactly what everybody's been complaining about they didn't want to see. Which is why I am so mind blown that these finals ratings are not out the roof. Everybody's tired of all the three-point shots. We need to see more mid-range. We need to see more defense. Well, we're getting all of that with this series. They're shooting middies. They're playing the best defense I've seen, being an old school fan, since the 90s, early 2000s, late 80s. Because that's when I started watching basketball. And I was so used to the grinding in the paint, the phenomenal defensive players. Because if you think about it, this is what everybody has been saying they wanted to see. Steph Curry changed the landscape of the game with the threes. Now, these two teams are changing it back and, making middies and playing defense valuable. Being deep in your bench. Having the pieces. Now, how did we get here? You may say, well, how did we get here? Well, OKC it wasn't just Paul George, but since Paul George touched both of these teams, that's one we'll pick on. But it also, Russell Westbrook's trade actually helped the OKC to get here as well. His trade did too. OKC traded away Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul, 2 first-round picks, and some pick swaps. So that helped as well. And I want to say even today, OKC has some picks left that they can either do the first-round picks or they can swap them, trade them off to make their team even better. This is not the end of OKC that we're going to see. And then they traded Paul to the Clippers, because that's where he wanted to go, for Shai, who's now their franchise player, league MVP, got their team in the finals going to Game 7 with a chance to close it out at home. 5 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. And then with their first-round picks, they were able to get Josh Giddey, which in turn, they were able to flip him for Alex Caruso, I think it was. There we go. They got J-Dub, and they got Chet Holmgren through some picks, as well as Cason Wallace. So they did flip Paul George's trade into all of that, right? And then they weren't finished. It's just so impressive when I think about this, because I'm with the Hawks. The Hawks is my team. That's my home team, and their front office don't think like this. So as if they were able to also do some trades and I guess free agency, whatever, however they got these players, but like Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, and Kendrick Williams, they were able to get those good role pieces to come in, bench players, nice solid pieces to come in, shooters, stretch the floor, all defense and all that. They were able to acquire them as well. Hartenstein, they were able to get him, and he has proven. I was actually shocked to see New York let Hartenstein go, but then when they got Cat, I understood it. But, they were able to continue they didn't stop at the big 3. And then they have a good coaching, training staff. Look how Shai Gilgeous was developed. What if he had stayed with the Clippers and did never get that chance? They got Kawhi, and he didn't really get that chance if they didn't give up Shai and it wasn't developed. He was able to get to a team to where he was developed into the player that he is today. And also their role players. They were able to get them, the role players that they got, they were able to develop them into the pieces that they want. And here they are today. 68 wins for the season, NBA Finals, Game 7. And we're just waiting to see how this book is going to end. The book is being written. How is it going to end? Meanwhile, we got Paul George that was in OKC. And we're going to talk about him a little more because he was in Indiana as well. We got Paul George. What did he do in OKC? They went up against Dame. I remember they went up against Dame. So Game 5 of the 2019 first round of the playoffs, Paul George comes up against Dame Lillard. I want to say it was like 10 seconds left on the clock, something like that. I don't remember. Dame cooked him and drilled one right in his grill, and he called it a bad shot. That's what he got OKC. That summer, he would be requested by Kawhi Leonard to join forces in LA. This wouldn't be the end of his antics by far. He went on to say a lot of little things, the playoff P. I want to say he did that in OKC as well. Y'all ain't met playoff P, have you? The whole Kawhi, after he got to the Clippers, because I won't be getting deep into that. After he got to the Clippers, he wanted to make his little comments about, give me what Kawhi got. Got it in his little feelings because he wasn't getting Kawhi kind of money. Kawhi has stayed injured a lot, but I will tell anybody, he's a far better player than what Paul George has ever been. Kawhi Leonard is vicious. He is the one player that LeBron came up against time and time again, me being a huge Bron fan, that I had fear of. Not Paul George and all the Indiana battles, but whenever he would have to go up against Kawhi, I would be on pins and needles. Pins and needles. So for him to say, give me what Kawhi get, boy, bye. Podcast P, you want to yap more than you work on your craft. It just blows my mind. It really does. But anyway, that's all I got. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, stay safe. On to the next one. Peace.